be there too, 'cause you're born in Texas. So how could they know? How could they know? Not sure if you're a boy or a girl. Hey, babe, that's alright. Hey, babe, let's go out tonight. You like me and I like it all. We like dancing and we look divine. You know fans when they play it on. You want more and you want it hard. Down, say I'm wrong. Exactly, baby. Damn on. Rebel, rebel, keep on your dress. Rebel, rebel, don't make it a mess. Rebel, rebel, how could they know? Hot tramp, I love you so. Got your mother in our world. Not sure if you're a boy or a girl. Hey, babe, your hair's alright. Hey, babe, let's stay out tonight. You like me and I like it all. We like dancing and we look divine. You love dancing. You want more and you want it. Let's say I'm wrong. You take a thing, you put them on. Rebel, rebel, you on your dress. Rebel, rebel, your face is a rebel, rebel, how could they know? Tramp, so. Rebel, on your dress. Rebel, rebel, your dress. Rebel, rebel, how could they know? Hot tramp, I love you so. Call me dress, the face is a mess. And I'm riding off at the test. Mission and your life wide. You got your fuel line and a handful of blues. You want to be there when they count up the two dress. Because your face is a mess. So how could they know? How could they know? So what you wanna know? You live in this job. Can I do for you? You try to be because you're born in Texas. The face is a mess. The face is a mess. So how could they know? How could they know? Got your mother in our world, but she's not sure if you're a boy or a girl. Hey, babe, your hair's alright. Hey, babe, let's stay out tonight. You like me and I like it all. We like dancing and we look divine. You love bands when they play it hard. You want more and you want it fast. They put you down, they say I'm wrong. You take a thing, you put them on. Rebel, rebel on your dress. Rebel, your face is a mess. Rebel, rebel, how could they know? Hot tramp, I love you so. Rebel, rebel, it's on your dress. Rebel, rebel, the face is a mess. Rebel, rebel, how could they know? Hot tramp, love you so. You don't need dress, the face is a mess. You can't get enough, but it's not way to test. You lie, when they cannot get you. You're too because your face is a mess. So how could they know? But when the one can do for you, looks like a female too. Because you call it dress, and your face is a mess. It's a mess. So how could they know? Got your mother in our world. Not sure if you're a boy or a girl. Hey, babe, your hair's alright. Hey, babe, let's go out tonight. You like me and I like it all. We like dancing and we look divine. You love bands when they play it hard. You want more and you want it fast. Say I'm gone. Rebel, rebel, how could they know? Hot tramp, I love you so. Got your mother in our world, but she's not sure if you're a boy or a girl. Hey, babe, your hair's alright. Hey, babe, let's stay out tonight. You like me and I like it all. We like dancing and we look divine. You love bands when they play it hard. You want more and you want it fast. They put you down, they say I'm wrong. You take a thing, you put them on. Rebel, rebel, you on your dress. Rebel, rebel, your face is a mess. know. Hot tramp, I love you so. Rebel, rebel, it's on your dress. Rebel, rebel, your face is a mess. Rebel, rebel, how could they know? Hot tramp, I love you so.
Maybe
Don't dress, your face is a mess. You can't get enough, but enough ain't the test. Transmission and your live wire, you got your fuel line and a handful of blues you wanna be there when they cannot get dues. And I love your dress. You're a juvenile success because your face is a mess. So how could they know? I said, how could they know?
okay. Good morning and welcome to the morning show. Today our panel is about open innovation. My name is Pedro Lopez-Belmonte. I'm a Web3 technology innovation expert. So the luxury industry is being reshaped by the rapid advancement of emerging technologies. And in this increasing uncertain economic landscape, brands that embrace innovation are more likely to thrive and succeed. However, innovation is not about adopting new technologies. It's about enhancing the way brands connect with their clients. Today's clients expect not only products, they seek deeper interactions and deeper relationships. Digital technologies offer brands the tools to create these connections, not by becoming the focus, but by enhancing and extending client relationships. In this evolving landscape, leveraging technology to amplify engagement is what sets successful brands apart. However, the path to successful innovation is rarely smooth. Challenges such as cultural resistance, intellectual property concerns, regulatory compliance, and external partners coordination as just some of the obstacles that open innovation teams face. Aligning these efforts with corporate strategy, managing multiple stakeholders, bridging the gap between IT and business teams add further complexity. And then there's the matter of finding the right partner, one who hits both the immediate innovation effort and hopefully the long-term view. And meanwhile, every technology starts becoming obsolete the moment it's deployed. So it requires ongoing efforts to keep it updated. So what's the secret to make open innovation strategies successful despite this ominous outlook? Over the next 45 minutes, we will explore how to navigate this landscape, focusing on identifying the right partners, pinpointing the most valuable use cases, and executing open innovation initiatives with success. So please welcome Laetitia, Olivia, and Yoann. You want to introduce yourselves?
Yes. So I'm Laetitia Roche-Grenet. I'm in charge of open innovation for LVMH. So I'm sure you know LVMH, but do you know how many brands we have? 75. Yeah, some people like. And the particularity of the group is that all of the maisons are very different. They have a different DNA, they have different cultures, they have different business model. So I think it's a particularity of our open innovation department. And in the past, I used to work in maison, like Fred. I was the general manager of Fred, and before I was in the Richemont group, in Cartier, and before in L'Oréal. And I'm so old, I won't give the number of years.
Thank you. My son's teacher recently said I'm 20 plus 30 years of experience. So I think it's a good one. My name is Olivia Dhordain. Until last year, I was at Richemont. Only 26 maisons, I'm afraid. But fascinating maisons. For 12 years, I was in charge of the intellectual property department in Geneva, and we were serving the 26 maisons. So I'm here to talk about intellectual property and innovation, and it's always a great, absolutely, more than possible.
I certify, at least in the case of Olivia.
Good morning. My name is Yoann Lemain. I was leading the digital innovation team at Rolex until this summer, and now I'm back to consulting for product management and innovation.
Great. So I think the main question, or the first question, maybe not the main, but the first question is, for you, what would be the first challenge around open innovation? No? If today you come and you arrive to a new group or a new brand and you need to design a strategy, what would be the first step? I think we can start by you, Laetitia.
So let me think how I would say that. I'm not going to disclose the strategy of open innovation of LVMH, of course, but let's imagine if it's in a new group. And I think the first thing I talk a lot about culture is really something that matters. Like actually 10 minutes ago, we are talking about the culture of Richemont compared to the culture of LVMH. And depending on the culture, you have some things that work, some things that do not work. So to give the example of LVMH, we have a very entrepreneurial spirit, and it's not only words, it's a reality. When I arrived at LVMH, I mean, I was used to a different culture. I was surprised that everybody wanted to create new things, new projects. The people love change. And when people love change, you can do things that you cannot do in other group where people are more at ease in the daily projects, I would say. And it's important, I think, in many companies, there is no good or bad in this, but it's a matter of culture. So I think what works inside LVMH is to have something that allows anybody to be part of the innovation program. Anybody, we are 218,000 people. Anybody can have innovation idea and can share it Bon, I have to admit, the first time I presented to Bernard Arnault the fact that we would have a platform with all innovation ideas shared from Vuitton and Dior that are competitor, he was looking at me like, you sure?
I can imagine.
But in fact, what matters is the execution, not the idea. Idea, many people have many ideas, and probably I can have an idea today, but probably 100 of people had the idea before and never actually launched it. So the difference is the execution, and Vuitton and Dior would not execute it the same way at all. So to go back to your question, I mean, the strategy is first look at the culture and develop something that can work on the culture. In an entrepreneurial spirit culture, you can do something where anybody can grab and be part of it, and it's organic, it works on its own. And probably in another culture, you should be more top-down with showing exemplary from the top management, and that's what would works, I guess.
Totally.
I don't know if I answered the question.
I think it's a great perspective.
Thank you, Laetitia. Yeah, they say culture eats strategy for breakfast. So culture is absolutely vital, absolutely. What I would say, pleading for my parish, is the first thing you need to open when you're going for an open innovation is the door of your IP lawyer. Why? Because you can actually get yourself and the company into quite tricky situations if you haven't built an awareness and a culture of IP. Because in order for people to be free to go out there, negotiate, scout, they need that little bit of IP awareness, because clearly it's not the IP lawyer who's going to centralize everything and validate every single step. I would say also that coming out of the IP beyond the culture, but it goes back to your execution, is once you've got an innovation, that's great. Once you've executed, that's great. But then upscaling is so important, because if you don't upscale, the idea is going to quickly fade. But yeah, IP absolutely essential, and not a break. On the contrary, an enabler.
Indeed.
It's agree on something.
IP.
Well, it's my style. I'm sorry. It's my culture. You will hate me. Huh? I'm sorry. Before I speak, of course, IP matters, and we have to do things that respect the law for sure. It's very important to include it at one point. I think for an entrepreneur, if he wants to succeed, if he first look at the constraints, he will stop everything. So IP, yes, of course you should look at it, but start with your dream, start with what you can do, and then you adapt to make it work with the right people. You hate me, or it's fine?
On the contrary, I'm going to challenge and agree with you, because to take risks is absolutely vital. All startups that we work with, they put IP aside to go ahead with their idea. But to do that and to take a risk, you need to know that you're taking a risk. Because if you go blindly into risk, that's where you get into trouble. So I'm not at all against taking the risk, but just understanding what you're doing. I think it's L'Oréal who got itself into big trouble with a company called Opalex. They ended up in getting, I think, to a good decision, but it was 10 years of litigation. So that's what you want to avoid. Because if you don't have the awareness, you can get yourself into trouble.
So my 2 cents, culture first, definitely. Then skills. It's nice to have ideas. It's nice to want to change the world. But if you don't have the right skills, including IP, management, but also security, but also R&D, if you're working on the product, etc., you're not going to go very far, right? So you need to find a way to, upskill your teams, find the right partners, work with schools, work with R&D departments, etc., work with partners, and find your way to build, to go where you want to be and not dream about going there, right? So culture first and then skills. And I've seen a lot of organizations, and sometimes you don't know why, but they're not even a skills management process in place for internal people, right? And so this needs to be there somewhere, so you can start working on that and building the right teams to go where you want to be.
So yeah, of course. Go ahead.
I have a problem. I always react on everybody, so that's one of my
That's
problem.
what we want. Laetitia.
Now, I would like to speak about the skills because I think that matters a lot. Again, I said LVMH we are 218,000 people, so a lot of different skills. And the platform I was talking to you about, where we had all the different ideas, actually is a skills crowdsourcing platform. Why did we do it? Because we do believe that if, let's take a concrete example so it's easier to understand. Imagine you work at Ruinart, but you go on Sephora on a weekend and then you see a lady putting some lipstick and you're like, okay, she has dry skin, why don't we invent the Shazam of hydration? Okay, I mean, the person is working for Champagne, so doesn't know how to do lipstick, but it's an idea. Okay, puts it on the platform. She cannot do anything with the ID, just an ID, right? But because Sephora is part of the group, Sephora can see this ID. And because we are a group where we have people who knows how to work with lipsticks, we have people who knows how to do IoT, we have people who know many things. This person, even though she doesn't know how to do anything about it, can construct a team and build a team with the skills that she needs. And I think, again, going back to the culture and the organization, our intrapreneurial program can work because we have all of these skills and because we created, I won't call it a process because for me, process is a constraint, but a tool, an empowering tool that the people can use to actually develop their own ID. So.
Perfect.
Absolutely. When we talk about open innovation, we're often talking about outside the company, but it's true that there is a wealth of innovation in the intersections. And that goes back to culture, because if you decide that innovation happens within the R&D department, you're missing out on innovation from the legal department, from the tax department. There are actually lots of inventive people out there, but who don't have the opportunity to express that innovation and that innovative spirit. So,
great. So let's stay with you, Olivia. And when discussing about the topic, you mentioned something. Open innovation is a changing culture, and it is not about looking outside. Changing culture. Yeah. So culture, it's a strategy, and we know that sometimes cultures don't change so easily. Can you elaborate on that?
I'm going to tell a story about when I just arrived at Richemont, straight from Paris, and Cartier had decided to become a watchmaker, a real watchmaker. So Manufacture had been just set up in La Chaux-de-Fonds, and I had an appointment with the R&D department, which was Edouard Mignon. It was just Edouard. And they decided to do concept watches. So first rendezvous, I'm in my little tailor with my heels. I get into my little Twingo. I go up to La Chaux-de-Fonds and it starts to snow. And it snows and it snows and it snows. And I don't have snow tires because a Parisian doesn't know what snow tires are. Anyway, I get to the Manufacture and there Edouard starts talking about the project. Very ambitious, wanting to do concept watches. He talks to me about all the different complications that there are. Equation of time. By this moment, I'm kind of reeling, not understanding anything. But there he understands that he needs to train me on watchmaking, but that he needs to train his teams that are in construction on IP. And him being him, he organizes 30 sessions of small groups within 48 hours. So I just went through the whole Manufacture. So that's an example of, let's say, an open innovation that's top down, that's really kind of decreed by the CEO.
Edouard Mignon is now at LVMH, just to talk about culture.
Indeed, indeed. And he's in charge of a lot more than he was then, but it's, yeah. I will say no more. So that was one thing. So training, bringing awareness, making people understand that it may be a constraint, but constraints sometimes is an opportunity for more innovation. If I have time for one little anecdote, at one point, Carole Forestier, who I'm afraid is also now at LVMH, who I'm a girl fan of Carole Forestier, she was head of movement creation, first at Piaget and then at Cartier. Why am I a girl fan? Because for a woman to have that career in watchmaking is just absolutely fabulous, and she is amazingly bright and intelligent. Anyway, I close the parenthèse. She had worked on a mysterious tourbillon of a watch. Mystery clocks are very much in the history of Cartier, in the culture of Cartier, and everything was ready to go for the Salon 3 months before, upon which we discovered that Bergues has a patent which has just been published, which describes exactly the tourbillon encased between two sapphire discs, and the tourbillon never touches the side, so that you wonder how the tourbillon is being moved. So we think, uh-oh. In that case, you read the patent, and what you try to do is design around. And indeed, Carole thought about it and said, well, if I accenter my tourbillon just a touch, it will do a flower shape and come and touch the sides of the edge from time to time. By doing that, not only were we outside the patent, but it was a much more beautiful tourbillon that danced within the mysterious setting that the Bergues one didn't. So that's an example of constraint actually helping. And sometimes I would say IP can help, because when you start negotiating with an outside person, it's going to give a very good indication of the relationship that you're going to have with that outside company. And if it goes wrong during the negotiation, you can be sure that it'll go wrong along the way somewhere. So,
yeah. Yoann, can you elaborate a bit on?
Yeah, just
on
to add something, because we a few times about constraints. Let's not forget that there is no design without constraints. So adding this kind of constraint is also part of the designing process that we all have to perform. Not a process, tool. Empowering tool. So yeah, I just wanted to touch on that, because without constraints, design is art and it's fine, but it's part of our jobs actually.
Yeah. Can you also elaborate a bit? You mentioned the other day your work at Rolex with the business team, inspiration versus execution. You know, dealing a bit that relationship between the business and the technology team. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah.
From this?
So I will not disclose anything about Rolex.
No.
That's not what we do. Yeah, so I mean, a huge part of my job at Rolex and before in other companies of all sizes and in all kinds of businesses is to have a way of making the conversation happen and things happen between the business and the technical teams. I'm an engineer, I come from a software engineering background, and there is no, in my opinion, sense of pushing technology for the sake of technology. There is no way of doing business without tech today. You can try, you're going to be a nice artisan, but that's it. You will stay at a craftsman level. And so, yeah, I think there is no innovation without all this conversation happening between the business, the technical teams, the right people learning cross skills and being able to have conversations with everyone on a variety of topics, and to trigger more conversation, have this snowballing effect that I guess you know have at LVMH, and I don't know for how long, but I think this is something you masterfully executed, right?
Thank you.
Just, if I can.
Yes, of course.
One of the big, I'd say, challenges of a legal intellectual property department is to make sure that people are not afraid of coming to see you or avoid seeing you. And for that, you really need to adopt the vocabulary of innovation and be excited about it, want to help the innovation actually happen.
Being an enabler.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Laetitia, 2 points for you. First, I would like you to elaborate a bit on your platform, but on the operational side. So, how your platform helps actually articulate the innovation from the idea to the execution. And then I would be interested in your perspective, not as leading open innovation, but also you have led, as you have mentioned before, a brand. So what? Leading a brand, sometimes innovation is like a stone in your shoe, right? So what would be also your perspective on that?
Yeah. Actually, I will answer both at the same time, I
Perfect.
think. So yes, before being in charge of open innovation, I was in charge of Fred, general manager of Fred. Like I said, the maison in LVMH are very decentralized. Means that when you are in a brand, you are empowered to do whatever you think is appropriate for your brand. Because the group is too big, you will never have somebody from the holding saying you should do this. It doesn't happen at LVMH. It's the opposite. It's the brand who tells the holding, this is what we will do. The holding can challenge, can ask, can empower, but and they can discuss about it, but that's basically it. So it's important to keep that into account. And when I was at Fred, I was actually, it's so decentralized that I didn't really know what was LVMH. At the time, if you were telling me Sephora, not sure I would have realized that Sephora was part of LVMH, because it's far away when you are decentralized. And my dream at the time was to meet other people from other brands, and it didn't happen, actually. Because, again, in our culture, I think Mr. Arnault never do meetings with the teams together. In the holding, we have never a meeting all together. It doesn't happen like this. So with that into my mind, I realized that if I wanted to create something at the holding level, I had to be desirable so that the maison wants to go there. And I was like, okay, what was desirable when I was in a maison? And one was to meet people from other maisons. When you are in watches and jewelry, you are very happy to meet people from fashion or from hotels or from media, because it's a different universe and it's very interesting. So, and you want nobody from the holding to give you any constraint. You want them to give you value. And that's based on this that I created the platform. So the platform, everybody has access to it, but nobody has to take part if they don't want to take part of it. It's just value. The value can be either for somebody, who has always worked in one universe, who wants to discover another universe. That's value. Or it's for somebody, who has been working for 10 years in the same job and is in mobility, and it's also an enabler for that. Because sometimes, I do believe that the experience is not only your own job, but you can have experience on projects. So if you are in IP in Watch and Jewel, maybe you can also help. Maybe not, I don't know. Huh? Maybe IP is not a good example. I will take finance, because finance, I'm sure IP, you'll tell me if it's okay. If you are the finance manager of a brand in watch and jewelry, you can give your finance advice to somebody in fashion or in cosmetics. So, and for you, it's a way to discover a new thing. So basically, this platform, you can either go on it because you have a new idea and you want to launch a new idea, because you want to discover a new project that you want to help. We call it their angels, like helping the project to become a reality. Or you can go through it as a maison. Vuitton can be interested to see what are the great ideas or projects that could make sense for Vuitton. So when you have an idea, you have people working on it, and then you have maison. All of this together, it's organic and it happens on its own. So nobody decide that anybody has to innovate. They just go because they want to go. So it's not a stone. It's just a diamond that you want to grab. So
I like that perspective. Before you point out, Olivia, I would say from my perspective, from IP in the innovation process, And it's also an idea that I want to launch to the three of you. Sometimes the innovation happen in the free space when somebody sees the opportunity and grabs it, and then the idea it gets executed and flourish. And I've personally done that. There was an empty space. We started building, and today what I built is something very, very established there. And Olivia was there to actually help and not put constraints. So that's my perspective from the execution side. But I think, just to point out, that it also depends on the approach of the person. So the people is also important. We are speaking about functions, but then the way each person executes the responsibility of the function, it's also relevant. So please go ahead, and then I repeat the idea for
best compliment ever. I just wanted to bounce on what you said about people being able to bring skills. I think beyond bringing the specific skill that you are in, you can go much further. In the eyes of HR, often once a lawyer, always a lawyer, and you die a lawyer. I brought in some baby juniors, a very strange setup where I said to them, I'm going to give you a permanent contract, but I can't make you evolve. So after 3-4 years, just go out on the market, find another job. Interestingly, I had 5 generations of juniors like that. A lot of them actually went into the business, some in marketing, some in event management, some in cultural patrimony departments, because they had skills that could be completely transposed to other things. And I think that's also something we need to open a little bit within HR is the boxes.
So it means you're a good manager also.
Yeah. Yes. So you want to elaborate on what we have just discussed, and this empty space, to maybe execute innovation within the cracks. What do you think?
Enable experimentation, right? So it also, it's part of the culture, but making some space so some people at least can free a bit of time to actually experiment, have the authorization to fail, and create optionality for the organization, because they will explore things. Maybe top management won't even know what's happening, but some of them will be successful because the business teams will see value there, and some of them will snowball into a big thing. And I have to say, this maybe I can say during my time at Rolex, I think 2 of the most important things we delivered with my team were actually very small experiments we decided to run without, just because the tech was available. And then we found business teams, and then there was a business case, and then it was deployed, and it's been actually showcased 2 weeks ago. So yeah, create this space. And it's not easy if you have like a legacy organization with, I don't know, people that are in very standardized jobs and roles and happy to be there in these roles and don't want to move too much. But it's part of the transformation I think the organization has to undertake. And this is not the role of the innovation team, by the way. Innovation team can be a contributor, an enabler, but you need some people running the transformation for you, because it's a bigger thing than just doing innovation. It's a completely different, I think, approach and business, basically.
I like that view, because I see you were mentioning before technology is required today to run the business. And the technology teams on the innovation exercise are usually seen, same as other functions as blockers. And we need to understand, on one side, that the main priority of a technology team is to help the business open doors every day. So it's the foundation, but then they also have the responsibility to help the business evolve. But somehow they are not set up for that. So it's kind of
again, I want to
question.
react. It's not true in LVMH. Huh?
Okay.
The people from digital, they are not seen as blockers, they are seen as enablers. So, I mean, it really depends on the, going back to again to the culture and the point of view. So, yes, you have the digital people and the IT people. IT, since they are the one who IT are more constrained than digital, but for us, it's a tool, it's an amplifier, it's an enabler. So you should all come to LVMH.
It should be.
And to bounce on that, corporate culture, the kind of evolution towards something much more static or embedded or processed. I'm going to sound ancient, but when I arrived at Richemont legal department, everything was paper. You had assistants, 10 assistants, printing emails, putting holes in emails, putting them in files, putting stickers, taking out the files, just the whole day long. And all of a sudden, my boss tells me, I've got this amount of money to spend before the end of the year, do something. And I had a little geek kid who was there. And I said to him, can we do something in a month? He said, no problem. We got an open source company who set up a paperless system within 1 month. You know, at the time you didn't ask permission. There was no one to ask permission to. And we set it up. Interestingly, later on, Pedro then put that onto a SharePoint system that was perfectly, let's say, compliant. But today, that would be impossible. The taking of the risk to do something in a free environment to then set it up more compliantly would not be possible. In Richemont, yeah. But it's I mean, it's also, but it's a good example of the dangers that you can move towards when that wasn't your culture initially. And I think that corporate culture, you have to be very careful. Another example, the Google setup. 15 years ago, it was extraordinary. The slides and the ping pong tables and or the well-being. So the corporate culture in some companies, they've taken all the well-being speech and perhaps the ping pong tables. What they haven't done is the 10% free time to innovate, and that is the key.
I will rebound on the 10% because it's our entrepreneurs. So, like you understood, they have their job, and some of them they have their entrepreneurial project that they do on the side. Some entrepreneurs ask the group saying, "Okay, we want to have some time off. Please, I need some time off." But if you think about it, so of course you have the law and the legal and the job. I have my own job. But in reality, people who are serial entrepreneurs, I mean, they don't ask contract for each. They do many projects and one fail, the other one doesn't. And the one who doesn't fail becomes the global project. So, and very often I tell to the people, the one who asks to have 10% off, they're not real entrepreneur. I mean, when you are salespeople, what I'm saying is not true, of course. You have some job that needs a physical presence, but do I ask for a contract to be here today talking to you? No. Is it part of my job description? Yes, no, I don't know. What I'm saying is that we are in a world where we need to free from we do what needs to be done, and if it's an entrepreneur job, we can find a few hours per week to do the emails, to do the meeting. I mean, if you have a project that you're passionate about, and if you say every week I do 1 hour, I don't know, every Friday from 2 to 3, you'll make it. It's not like a matter of contract. But I know it's even at LVMH, it's a discussion, and some teams disagree and say we need to. I mean, being an entrepreneur is not for everybody, and it's a good thing, by the way, because if the 218,000 people of LVMH are all entrepreneurs, we are in trouble, right? We need some people who do the process the right way, who are salespeople on the field. So it's good that 80% at least are solid pro, no entrepreneur, good. But for the one who are entrepreneur, for me, it's not an issue. They do whatever they feel needs to be done, and they will create the time for it to happen, I guess.
I agree I agree completely. What I like about the Google is it's the signal. It's from the top down saying anyone can innovate. Don't be shy about innovating, because some people won't feel enabled, won't feel that they are allowed. The other day I saw in a job announcement from Philip Morris, I think, at the bottom they write, statistics show that 30% of women won't apply because they don't think that they are qualified enough. So please do. I thought that was best practice. I think the same goes for innovation. A lot of people won't dare to innovate. And those 10% are just a signal. A lot of them won't use it.
You know the name of our intrapreneurial program? Dare. So we talk too much. Huh? Woman talks too much.
No, I'm happy to leave you some space. So yeah, I don't know, daring. It's all nice when you have the organization that is already set up, right? And you have people with the skills, with the entrepreneurship skills, because it's a set of skills that one can learn. But not all organizations have that, and unfortunately, or maybe fortunately for some of them. And so I think we're back also to skills again. If you want to have an organization that innovates, you need some space somehow. Maybe it's free time, maybe it's the ability to fail without being downgraded or whatever can happen. And also the right skills set to be able to launch something. I mean, you need to understand what's a P&L, you need to understand what's innovation, you need to understand what are the basic skills that are required to do that. You need to understand risk management, etc. And this skill set is not available to everyone from day zero, unfortunately. So this is part also, I think, of the culture, of the training, and how do you find the people that are willing and able to learn this and move forward and become daring, I guess.
The word that comes to mind listening to both of you is humility. In order to innovate, you have to accept that perhaps you don't have all the answers. You have to leave windows open onto the outside. And sometimes luxury, perhaps especially, has a tendency to think they have all the answers, but perhaps. Sorry.
I think we have, as French-speaking people, at least in France, and it's French-speaking Switzerland and Belgium and so on, and in luxury, there are, I think, two main issues we have culturally, right? The fear to fail, we learned that at school. So that basically, unlike the Americans, we are wired to be afraid of failing at something. Whereas when you want to innovate and create optionality, a lot of things will fail. Some of them will succeed, and these are going to be nice, and everyone's going to see them, but nobody's going to see the 90% of the things you failed, right? And when you work within the luxury business, there is also a quest for perfection that is always here. And so if your job is not perfect, in a lot of luxury companies, it's an issue. So not even talking about failure, I'm talking to deliver something that is just 80%. And everyone around you is going to wait for the 20 missing percent, while it's not your job as an innovator, maybe. And it's these further developments are going to be done with industrialization or later on this stage.
2 seconds. Another thing that the French culture does not teach is how to ask questions. Asking a question shows that you don't know. That's not the same thing in the English culture.
Yeah. Very quickly, please, because we are running out of time.
No, but it's okay.
But no, go.
No, it's just, I remember I was watching TV and there was this sports person, I don't remember who he was, but he was really upset because he didn't win a match. And he answered, but stop telling me I failed. It's just that I train and I'm a champion, but yes, at the end, I'm the best of the best. But of course, many of the time, I'm just learning. So I think maybe we should invent another word than fail, because it's not fail. Yes, failing in luxury is a problem, but training, experimenting, and not getting the result right away is different. And maybe that will change the way of thinking about it, probably. So.
Absolutely. It's more learning than training, than failing, I think. Very quickly, just to finish, I want to ask you, the three of you, in the scope of innovation, hype versus long term.
Okay. Very quickly, if you are in finance and investing, look at the hype, because that will make you rich or not. If you are in luxury, don't look at the hype. Artificial intelligence was in the 1950s, the start, metaverse a little bit later. We should look long term. So for me, hype, don't look at the hype, otherwise you will fail, and this time really.
Thank you.
Yeah. Quick anecdote.
Thank you for being quick and for the answer. Very nice.
On the blockchain, in 2018, a startup came to see us to say, blockchain can be really good to date creations. We didn't know what blockchain was, but we said, sounds like it's filling a gap. And we put it in place in 2018, and then we spread to all the maisons with COVID, actually. Change management sometimes requires COVID. But 5 years later, because it was hype, you saw these workshops organized by the maisons, and the question was, what could we do with blockchain? Which was à l'envers, in a way. I think the way we saw it was the gap.
Maybe a question for that would be, what have already we done with blockchain?
So there is a company, a small one, called Gartner, that they have this hype cycle, which is basically a Dunning-Kruger effect curve, glorified and sold to corporates, right? I think you have to pay attention to what's hype, because you're going to have questions from the top management, usually. And you're going to have to answer quickly on this. So you have to be prepared to answer, and to also be ready to, follow the hype, understand what's underneath, understand what are the fundamentals. Maybe it's here since the 50s, but you didn't know about it, so learn about it. And try to understand as soon as possible, with the right partners, again, you cannot learn everything by yourself, what would be the added value for the business of these. We had these big questions with the metaverse, with blockchain for years, and we still have them. And there have been initiatives everywhere. And in the end, we see that it has impacts in tokenization of assets, in gaming, in other fields. But you had to dive into that. And I mean, I saw countless press releases that were just bullshit tech pushed for the sake of being here on the headlines. And I understand that if you are in fast-moving consumer goods or in the fast market, but in luxury, you have to take great care in your brand, in the way you interact with your customers as well. And so you cannot push tech just to be here. I have visited in Manhattan. I did at some point some kind of safari, so touring the luxury boutiques there. And we saw so many digital activations in store that customers wouldn't use because they're here for the product, or that even salespeople wouldn't know how to use because they don't care, because people come here for having a drink at the bar and buying and trying on luxury items. So yeah, it's not relevant to our business, the hype, but we have to understand it and follow it.
Well, thank you very much. We have run out of time. I wanted to have some time for questions, but you know, if just to sum up, exactly. Laetitia, Olivia, and Yoann are here for you. I think we can sum up very quickly. You know, open innovation, being open, of course, being humble, and focus on enabling somehow, but taking into account the culture. And personally, I'm very happy because Laetitia is going to hire me at LVMH. So very, very happy. I don't know, but we can discuss after. Now I want to go there. No, thank you very much, everyone. And we have in less than 5 minutes the Luxury Innovations Summit started. And feel free to reach any one of them and or us if you have any question. Thank you.
So what you wanna know? Living is job. Where you wanna go? What can I do for you? Looks like a thing to do. Got you going in jail. Your face is a mess. Ooh, your face is a mess. So how could they know? How could they know?